Have you ever used an app and thought, wow, this feature is genius. Who comes up with that stuff? Well, it's not just a bunch of coders in a room. More often than not, there's a product manager steering the ship. And today, we're going to pull back the curtain on why this role is becoming one of the most important jobs in tech. Let's get right into it. So let's start with this number, 10%. Now, this isn't just a random statistic. This represents an absolute explosion of innovation happening in India right now. Every single year, the number of startups is growing by 10%. And all that growth, all that new energy, is creating a massive, massive need for a very specific kind of talent. And that's where this one key role comes in. With this startup boom, there's a huge demand for people who can actually guide these new ideas and turn them into products that customers will actually use and love. We're talking, of course, about the product manager. Okay, so first up, let's talk about India's product boom. I'm calling this the opportunity of a generation. And you're about to see why. It really comes down to a huge gap in the market. Just look at this chart. It tells you everything you need to know. In the US, you've got about 2 million product managers. But in India, just a few thousand. Now, why is there such a massive difference? Well, the US tech scene has been building for decades, right? But India's big digital product boom is happening right now. So this isn't just a gap. It's a wide open door for anyone who wants to jump in and make a real impact. So that brings us to the big question. Who exactly is a product manager? You might hear them called the mini CEO of a product. So what does that actually mean? Let's break it down. This idea of being a mini CEO is perfect. Think about it. A CEO is responsible for the success of the entire company. A product manager, they're responsible for the success of their product. From the very first spark of an idea all the way to launch and beyond, they're the one person who has to connect the dots between engineers, designers, marketers, everyone, to make sure they're all building the right thing. So yeah, product managers have to wear a lot of hats. They need to be strategic thinkers, mapping out where the product is going. They've got to be leaders who can rally the whole team around a single vision. And maybe most importantly, they have to be absolutely obsessed with the customer, what they need, what frustrates them, and of course, you have to be a fantastic communicator to keep everybody on the same page. All right, this next part is maybe the most crucial thing to understand about building great products. It all starts with a problem. You know, if you're not solving a real painful problem for someone, then honestly, what's the point? Your product is pretty much guaranteed to fail. So the quest begins with finding the right problem to solve. And problems really come in two main flavors. You've got your direct market needs. These are the burning, obvious frustrations people are dealing with today. Think, my phone battery dies too fast. Then you've got perceived needs. These are problems people don't even know they have yet. Nobody was asking for an iPhone before it existed. For most new products, you really want to start with that direct burning need. It's so much easier. Okay, let me tell you a quick story that shows this perfectly. It's about a company called Little Eye Labs. They had a fantastic team, they had some funding, but they were missing one tiny little thing, an actual idea for a product. So what did they do? They didn't just lock themselves in a room and brainstorm. No, they got out of the office. They went to a local meetup for Android developers in Bengaluru, and they just started talking to people. They asked a really simple question. Hey, what's the most frustrating part of your job right now? And they hit gold. The developers they talked to were all pulling their hair out over one thing, how much battery their apps were draining. It was a huge universal pain point. So the Little Eye Labs team had their mission. They built a powerful tool specifically to help developers analyze and fix this exact problem. And the result? Just 2 years later, Little Eye Labs was acquired by Facebook, the first Indian company they'd ever bought. It's just a perfect example of what can happen when you stop guessing and start solving a real, painful problem. Okay, so you found a problem worth solving. Fantastic. Now what? Well, now it's time to actually build something. This is where the idea starts to become real. But hold on, before you write a single line of code, you have to know exactly who you're building for. This is where something called a user persona is so important. You basically create a fictional character who represents your ideal customer. What's their name? What do they do? What are their goals? This keeps the team focused on building for a real person, not just a vague idea. And then it's time to build your MVP, or minimum viable product.
Now, the key word here is minimum. The whole point of an MVP isn't to launch a perfect, polished product. No way. The goal is to build just enough of a product to get it into the hands of real users so you can start getting feedback and learning what they actually want.
And that feedback loop, that cycle of building, testing, and learning is the engine that powers you toward your first huge milestone, product market fit. You can think of it like finding the absolute perfect key for a lock. When you have product market fit, everything just clicks. Users get it, they love it, and they tell their friends about it. So, how do you actually find it? Well, thankfully, there's a pretty good recipe for it. It's called the Lean Product Process. It's the simple 6-step framework that guides you all the way from figuring out your target customer to actually testing that first version of your product with them.
And here's a golden nugget of advice from Kumar Rangarajan, who co-founded Little Eye Labs. He says you have to make it ridiculously, painfully easy for people to give you feedback. Put your email address everywhere. Have a big feedback button, whatever it takes. Because the more feedback you get, the faster you learn, and the faster you get to that magic moment of product market fit.
So, you've done it. You found product market fit. That's amazing. Seriously, congratulations. But don't celebrate for too long, because now the next journey begins. It's time to scale.
And scaling can mean a lot of different things. Maybe you expand geographically, launching in new cities or countries. Or maybe you start targeting new types of customers, what we call lateral personas. Or maybe you start building brand new products that your current customers might also love. The possibilities are huge.
But with so many options, how on earth do you decide what to build next? Well, this is where a product manager's real superpower comes in: prioritization. They use frameworks like this one, called RICE, to make smart decisions. It helps them ask the right questions. How many people will this reach? What's the potential impact? How confident are we this will work? And how much effort will it take? It turns a gut feeling into a data-driven decision. So you see, the product journey is never really done. It's not a straight line from A to B. It's a constant cycle. You're always listening to your users, building new things, learning from the results, and then growing from there. The best product managers are the ones who just love this endless loop of improvement. In the end, it's pretty simple. Every great product you use, whether it's for ordering food or watching movies, started by solving one single problem for someone. So that leaves just one question for you. What problem will you solve? Thanks for tuning in.